Alright, welcome. This is second semester of algebra. This is August 26th, 2015, Wednesday. I am feeling a little bit sick, that's why I'm not there. Go ahead and title your notes 8.2, Factoring Using the Distributive Property. Alright, I want you guys to take notes. Treat this as if I was there. So for the first slide, don't worry too much about writing this. The reason why I'm showing this is because this section can be used for particular type of applications. Let's take, for example, this pitcher right here. This pitcher pitches very fast. I believe he pitches at, if we look at this right here, he pitches 95 miles per hour, right? If this pitcher were to pitch at that speed, and if he were to throw the ball up in the air, meaning something like this, you throw it up in the air, right? Well, this model right here, that movement can be represented using this formula. All right. I'm not gonna go into detail, but pretty much the stuff in this section will help you find, for example, the height of the ball, the time it takes to get to that point, the time. I'll put T for, or just put time. It can also tell you the time it takes for this ball to land. Anyways, with this section you can figure out how to do that. For the first slide, here we have on the left hand side we have a binomial, which you guys already know what a binomial is. What we're going to do is we're going to factor it. Remember, factoring means what times what will give me what I have. Well, we're going to start by using the factoring tree, just like we did on Monday. First, we're going to get the factor of that term, the 12a squared. We know that the factors of 12a squared are 4 and 3, and the factors of 4 are 2 and 2. Remember that you always need to get to your prime factors, alright? Okay. I'm going to use a different color to get the factors of 16a, 4, and 2, and 2, and a. Okay. This shouldn't look at all new to you guys because we've done this, and we also talked about the GCF, right? The GCF. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to find the GCF of this thing, alright? So the GCF, we have to look at the factors that they have in common. The factors are the prime numbers at the very end. So they have a 2 in common. So we're going to put that down here, 2. They have another 2 in common, so put that here. Alright? And they have an a in common. Alright? Put an a there. Okay, so they have the a in common, put the a there. Alright? And I think that's all they have in common. If I multiply the 2 times the 2 times the a, I get 4a, correct? So my GCF is equal to 4a. Now the second part, the new part for today is, now we're going to open up some parentheses, and inside those parentheses we're going to go back to our tree, and first we're going to look at the tree over here on the left, alright? And on that tree on the left, we're going to find the prime factors that were not used. For example, that 3 and that a, correct? So those prime factors, if I multiply them 3 times a, I get 3a. And that's what I'm going to put down there. And because it was an addition operation, I'm going to put plus here. And then now I'm going to look at the second factoring tree, the one on the right, and I'm going to also look for the prime factors that we didn't use, like that 2 and that 2. And if I multiply those two together, 2 times 2, I get 4. Alright? And this is factoring using the distributive property. And this is what I want you guys to do. Let's go ahead and do another one. I'm going to go a little bit faster. So first I'm going to get the factoring tree of 18. Okay. And get the factoring tree of 12c squared d. Alright. And the factoring of c squared. And this d is going to go down there. Factors of 9cd. Alright. Okay. Alright. So now that I have my factoring tree, now I'm going to look for the common factors that are in all three trees. Alright? The common factors that are in all three trees. So I have a 3. It has to be on all three trees. So I'm going to put the 3 right there. And let me look very carefully. I see a C. They all have a C in common. Okay, so I'll put a C there. And they also have a D in common. Alright? A D in common. Alright? So I'm put a D there. And I think that's all they have in common. So what I just found was the GCF. And I'm going to open parentheses. And in this case, I'm going to have 3 terms. And the operation signs are going to be addition. So I'm going to look at the first tree. And I'm going to look at the factors that I didn't use. The prime factors, okay? So it was a 3, a 2, and a D. So if I multiply 3 times 2 times D, I get 6D. And I'll put plus. And on the second tree, the factors that didn't get used are 2, 2, and that C. If I multiply those, I get 4C. Plus, and on the third tree, the only prime factor that didn't get used was the 3. So I'm going to put 3 there. And that right there is how you factor by using the distributive property. Alright, I have one more slide, so 2 more examples, and then you guys can do the classwork. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. Feel free to pause the video at any time so you can take notes or rewind it. Okay, so for this one, again, the first one, it's a little bit easier than the second one. So I'm going to get the factoring tree of 16a. The factors are 4, 4, and then 2, 2, and then 2, 2, and then A. Factors of 4b are 4b, and then 2, 2. Okay, went kind of fast, did the factoring tree. Now I'm going to circle what they have in common. They have 2 in common. So as soon as I circle something they have in common, I'm going to put it to the side. They have another 2 in common. So I'm going to put that to the side, times 2. And finally, and I think that's all they have in common, right? So if I multiply it, 2 times 2, I get 4. So I mean that 4 is the GCF, right? So I'm going to put the GCF down here. I'm going to open my parentheses. And because the operation is addition, I'm going to put addition there. I'm going to look at the tree on the left, and I'm going to see the factors, the prime factors that didn't get used. We have a 2, and then A, right? If I multiply those, 2 times 2 times A, I get 4A. Okay, now on the On the right, I have another tree, and if I look at what didn't get used, I have a B. A B didn't get used. I'll put B there. Alright guys, so that is what I'm looking for. Factoring using the distributive property. Okay. Alright, one last example and then we can start with the classwork. You guys should have plenty of time. So we'll start off with the factoring tree. For this first term, factors are 3, P, P, and Q. The factors for that right there are 3, 3, P, Q, and Q. The factors of 36 are 6 times 6. Factors of 6 are 2 and 3, 2 and 3. And finally, P and Q. Alright? So now, I'm going to look at all three trees, all three, and I'm going to look at what they have in common. They have a 3 in common. So as soon as they have something in common, I'm going to put it to the side. 3. They also have a P in common. A P. I'll put that to the side. And finally, they have a Q in common. A Q. I'll put that to the side. And I think that's all they have in common. So that means that what I just found, this is called my GCF, my greatest common factor. Okay, so I'm going to put my greatest common factor out here. I'm going to open some parentheses. Alright, open my parentheses. And in this case, the first operation was subtraction. I'll put subtraction here. And then the second one, I know I kind of covered it, but it's plus, addition. I'll put plus there. Alright, so in front of the subtraction sign, I'm going to look at the first tree, right? That tree right there. And I would notice that the factor that did not get used was this P. So that P is going to go there. Now I'm going to look at the second tree. And in that second tree, what didn't get used was that 3 and that Q. I put 3Q there, right? The 3 and the Q. And finally, on the last tree, what didn't get used was the 2, and the 3. If I multiply 2 times 2 times 3, I believe that is 12, right? 12. And that right there is what I want you guys to do. That's called factoring using the distributive property. Alright, hope that wasn't too long. The classwork right here is gonna be the handout. Go ahead and finish it, and I will collect it tomorrow. Okay? Have a good day, guys, and I'll see you on Thursday.